Expecting an Oscar. Written by Candy Kane. Read by Mike Davison. Anna was not a lover of dogs. For as long as she could recall, it had been forever thus. As early as age 8, when her friends were entranced by Dalmatians, for instance, Anna registered a piercing sense of exclusion when she failed to reproduce the joy evinced by members of her clan. In all other areas, Anna had been in clear agreement. Favourite books, favourite food, favourite music. But sharing the news she had no fondness for the canine had first introduced her to the notion of a deal-breaker. "You don't like any kind of dog?" a stunned Shelley had asked. "Not really," Anna said. Anna chuckled to herself now as she remembered the lingering silence that ensued. "Oh well, I guess that's okay," Morgan had chimed in, and Anna had felt a coil of tension release in her stomach. Anna's disclosure had not made her a pariah for long, and the bonds of friendship were restored without a hitch. In fact, over the course of the subsequent 25 years, Anna had, rather amusingly, observed others gradually rotating in their thinking until they were close to her mindset. "That bloody dog's a menace," the one-time appalled Shelley had included in a recent text. "The children love him, but geez, he's more expensive than our household food shop." Having spent time berating herself for always feeling slightly nauseous when she heard the omnipresent experts rhapsodize about the supposed telepathy between human and dog, Anna could have easily succumbed to schadenfreude. Somehow, however, she could not quite manage it. Age 37, and co-parent to 6-year-old Max, vegetarian Anna's position had not changed. Despite the constancy of her stance, she was thankful not to have passed the attitude on to her son. Anna was delighted that her former husband now lived with a woman who had a dog, a cat, and kept chickens. How about that? Tony and Anna had remained on good terms, often laughing about how things had turned out. "Don't screw this up, T," Anna had warned. "Alex is vital to our son's animal education." Tony had given comic assurances he knew what was at stake, and told her Max had just watched Marley and Me with a suitably receptive audience. "Oh, thanks for sparing me that," Anna responded. "Having to deal with Jennifer Aniston and a mutt intended to pull on one's heartstrings would have tipped me over the edge. Don't worry, I'll repay the favour by taking the lead on Max's English and maths." Truth be told, Anna derived great pleasure from hearing about Max's escapades with animals that were overseen by his caring stepmother. Anna loved the fresh eggs Max occasionally brought home and the forensic detail that coloured his stories. "Ernie was not a happy fish this morning," Max announced, as Anna tucked him into bed. "Alex said he was probably annoyed because he was asleep when we started to clean out his tank." "Well, that's understandable, isn't it?" Anna said, snuggling her nose to Max's in a gesture that had become their nightly ritual before the lights were dimmed. "I sometimes feel cross when I get woken up." "So do I," Max said, settling on his side into the position that usually facilitated a restful night. "I know, I'm the person who has to wake you up," she said, adding a smattering of tender kisses to his peach-like cheek. It helped Anna to tell herself that she was not a lover of any animal. She did not actively dislike them, or think the RSPCA should be defunded. It was more that she was anxious about them. Anna did not reveal the root cause of her aversion, because she rarely had the chance. In most cases, once the proverbial bomb had been dropped into the mix, a resounding chorus of "oh" indicated people were largely not amenable to hearing her defense. "It's because we had no animals at home when I was growing up," Anna wanted to say. My dad was allergic to dogs, she would add in mitigation. But alas, repeated juries were unanimously damning when delivering a verdict about the perceived failings of her character. From Anna's perspective, she was a people person. Anna hated the way that phrase had been hijacked by the language of human resources, along with a can-do attitude and many others. But she felt it was accurate. Anna loved working with people and had been praised as a skilled communicator whom folks found easy to talk to. Anna had no research to support the thesis, but she wondered, do individuals broadly fall into one of two categories? Great with animals, but I bet Dr. Dolittle was a tyrant when he came home, Anna had often mused in a feeble attempt to appease her guilt. Anna had always worked in people-facing roles, another phrase she deplored, and gave primacy to establishing authentic relationships. For the past 5 years, Anna had been the lead practitioner at an assisted living facility for seniors, and had never felt so secure in employment. "This is where I would like to be," Anna had said in front of the mirror during a comfort break on the second day of the interview process that resulted in her appointment. With unstinting contentment on the work front then, was the universe now trying to teach Anna a lesson? Was she now the victim of a karmic backlash that included a spanner in the works just for fun? Anna was not sure. What Anna was certain about, however, was the fact that she was deeply in love with Aaron, who was inseparable from a Labrador called Oscar. No, Anna was being unfair. Her new beau was not exactly inseparable from his companion of 11 years. Aaron was, after all, comfortable leaving his dog with award-winning connotations alone for periods of time, and was not afraid to instill discipline, ensuring adherence to firm boundaries. Oscar had been well schooled, and even Anna had to admit he was impeccably behaved. Yet, an inescapable truth could not be softened. Aaron and Oscar came as a pair. Anna was not that unsettled. Oscar's sweet nature had made Anna warm to him. The attentive eyes and wagging tail, as Aaron made the formal introductions, had put Anna at ease. She was, nevertheless, not quite ready to concede they would be best friends. "You'll get used to each other," Aaron said hopefully. Capturing the optimistic tone in Aaron's voice, Anna sincerely hoped this was true. It was a testament to her advancing affection for the dog's owner that, for the first time, Anna countenanced finally addressing her long-standing source of anxiety. A student of self-help, Anna had, of course, consumed "Feel the fear and do it anyway." If the possibility of a relationship with a partner who otherwise ticked all boxes was on offer, this seemed to be the ideal time to embrace the principles of a global bestseller. When Aaron had mentioned Oscar, Anna had assumed he was speaking about his young son. Anna pictured an adorable infant who had inherited his father's princely bone structure and warmth. Anna saw herself chatting with Oscar at the park as he and Max took turns on the swings, when Aaron said, "Yeah, dogs can be a bit of a handful, but I wouldn't be without him." Anna hoped she hadn't let her disappointment show, and used the moment to attack her apple pie with an available fork, lest her face betrayed her sudden emotional deflation. "Oh, wow, that's lovely," Anna said, after a pause. How Aaron had described Oscar had indeed been lovely. In fact, Anna was almost tempted to ask him to repeat his last words, so she could again catch sight of his matinee idol looks in a swirl of almost explosive sweetness. "Okay, I can handle this," Anna thought. Anna and Aaron had met on a date arranged by a mutual friend. Both seemed surprised by the expediency of their connection, which translated into a languid synchronicity that was shot through with a thrillingly sensual edge. "I feel as if I've known you for a long time," Aaron said over dinner 3 weeks into their courtship. "Oh," said Anna, cupping his hand. Me too, wishing she could offer something a little more original. Where were her lauded communication skills now? Oscar watched over the proceedings with poise, and the excitement with which he greeted Anna suggested he harbored no resentment to her increased presence. As well as giving each other space to recharge, the days Aaron spent with Oscar working from home as a website designer seemed to be sufficient in renewing the love between both parties. For her part, Anna had adjusted too. She had even started stopping to purchase dog food en route to Aaron's apartment. Anna had become adept at identifying specific brands, spotting 2-for-1 offers, and picking up the odd treat. "Crikey!" Shelley exclaimed when she first heard about her friend's turnaround. "Whatever next? Voting Tory and listening to Adele?" "I wouldn't go that far," Anna had chuckled. "Mind you," Shelley continued, "Aaron is so dreamy. I wouldn't bat an eyelid if he restricted television viewing to lame reality shows." Dreamy was the perfect word to describe Aaron. More Peter Pan than Poldark, he had a contagious zest for life and forever sought to see the goodness in people. Not that Anna didn't try to do the same, but she'd never known anybody so trusting, so pure of mind. No fan of labels, Anna could breathe new life into timeless fashion classics. Anna was stirred when she saw him customarily pair dark blue jeans with a white t-shirt and jacket. What was it that made Aaron so vibrant? Anna thought it was because he always seemed so comfortable, so in himself. He wasn't one of those people who simply wore clothes. Aaron's generosity of spirit and propensity to look beyond the surface of things had fashioned a soul that made garments need him, rather than the other way around. In the 6 months they'd been dating, Anna hadn't yet organized a meeting between Max and Aaron. She knew the two most important men in her life would get on, but she enjoyed the separateness that was afforded by the current arrangement. If there was a singular piece of advice that seemed to have been omitted in the parenting books Anna had read, it was what joyous company her son could be, especially as he grew older. Anna marveled at the wonder that framed Max's view of the world. He was prone to say, "Wow," each time he discovered a new word, experience, or hobby. Max's latest was collecting leaves and requesting David Bowie, he pronounced it Bowie, on the school run. Unlike Max's father, Anna's post-divorce dating life had been uneventful, and she never came close to meeting any candidate she wanted to present as Mummy's new friend. After Max and Aaron had become acquainted, Anna knew things would be different for them all. She was moved that Aaron regularly asked questions about Max as a means of distilling an impression of their life together. "Is he like you? What do you usually do for fun?" Aaron said he was an only child and displayed an endearing keenness to find out as much as he could about different familial configurations. He seemed almost envious of the sibling bond between Anna and her sister Helen. Not long after Anna spoke about memories of summers spent on the coast, Anna countered by commenting he would have had an older brother if circumstances had been different. Anna was puzzled. "Jack was born about 2 years before I was," Aaron elaborated. "My parents were, what we might call today, reproductively challenged. They struggled to conceive for years, and then Jack was born early and didn't make it," Anna offered sympathetically. "Yes," Aaron nodded. "When I came along, I don't think they wanted to tempt fate by trying to expand their brood. Maybe once you arrived, they realized they just couldn't improve upon perfection," she said with a raised eyebrow and tender smile. Aaron giggled. "Maybe. Thanks for offering a fresh perspective." They kissed, and Anna glanced over at Oscar, who was sitting obediently nearby. As if on cue to further trumpet Aaron's greatness, Oscar moved and looked up at his beloved master. Aaron stroked Oscar's face and spoke in anthropomorphic chatter. "And what do you think, Oscar? You do," he exclaimed as he listened in to one of the dog's ears. Oscar had earned considerable points with Anna of late. She increasingly found it difficult not to be touched by his behavior. The dignified pose as he surveyed the groceries being unpacked in anticipation, the patience with which he watched Aaron ready himself for their last walk of the day, and the soothing patter of his movement when all else was quiet. Anna had never witnessed any errant behavior from Oscar. No shoes had been devoured, nor had she been drenched in a shakedown that she assumed was so often an encore to a lap that included rain. Failing to see the dog-related chaos that was used to sell numerous domestic appliances or exploited for comedy value in movies, Anna initially assumed Oscar was on his best behavior when she visited. She imagined a tete-a-tete between Aaron and his charge beforehand, where consequences were made clear. "Be sure to behave, Oscar, or else." As time wore on, however, Anna stopped expecting Oscar to suddenly drop his guard and bring forth a more volatile temperament. Was Anna sad that such an unmasking did not actually seem to be on the cards? Had Oscar's attuned nature deprived her of an opportunity to give voice to the script she had long rehearsed? "Aha!" Anna imagined proclaiming one day. "This is why I've never liked dogs. I told you, you can't trust them." What hubris she had displayed. Anna had never actually tried to like dogs, and she could not blame this entirely on a lack of opportunity. The pet-free home in which she had lived for 18 years before heading off to university may have been an obstacle, but she could hardly make the case she had scant chance to seek compensation. Most of her friends had graduated to become dog owners, and many relatives had four-legged companions requiring exercise at least twice a day. What had Anna been afraid of? The responsibility of caring for a creature who was conventionally less loquacious than herself? The ties that ownership brought? The sound of Oscar's indoor pottering was sufficient to consign Anna's questions to the past, dispel her quibbles, and she missed the oral security when back in her own bed. She had come to hold this soothing charm, synonymous with the life she envisioned with Aaron and her son, having casually broached the subject with Max. "How would you feel if we had a dog one day?" Max's eyes had widened in amazement as he finished the dregs of his strawberry milkshake. "But you don't like dogs, Mum," Max said, his top lip glistening with a pink splash. "Not usually, no, but I think I could get used to one if you helped me out." Max looked out of the car window. Anna had learnt to interpret this as a sign he was giving a matter serious thought. "With walks and things?" Max asked, tilting his head. "Yes." "Then that would be great." "Uh-oh," an alarmed Shelley said when Anna relayed the conversation later that evening. "Seems like there's an attachment there. Well, you know, Max is very fond of animals." "Not Max," Shelley interrupted. "You are far from the Jane Goodall of dogs, but it's sounding like you've already scoped out a space for Oscar in the house." There was a pause. "The real sign, of course, is when you actively offer to take Oscar for a walk yourself without any sense of duty." "I actually did that last week," Anna laughed. "Aaron had a deadline to meet. It was getting late, so I took him out before bed." "Then it's official," Shelley declared. "He's won you over. Believe me, once you own this, it's easier for all concerned." The first member of Anna's family Aaron met was her mother, with whom he had been an instant hit. "Oh, Anna," Beatrice had cooed on the voicemail that arrived shortly thereafter. "He's very nice, so charismatic and clearly thinks the world of you. You owe me. I usually sense these things." Anna chuckled as her mother congratulated herself. What made the moment funnier was the fact that there was historical evidence to substantiate her claim. "It won't last," Beatrice had said of her nephew's marriage. "Their chemistry is off." Surrounding guests had been astonished when Beatrice shared her forecast between courses at the wedding breakfast. Nevertheless, Anna assumed the same people would be more forgiving once they discovered the recently betrothed Marshalls had bypassed couples counselling and were now liaising with divorce lawyers. Ditto the response to Beatrice's announcement she did not trust her son-in-law Craig. "Not this again," Helen had moaned when the topic was revived during a family meal. Yet, when Helen discovered Craig had been having an affair with a neighbour, her mother was the first person she called. Receiving such a glowing seal of approval from her one surviving parent also served to amplify Anna's belief in the longevity of her relationship with Aaron. Becoming acquainted with family members also appeared to inspire him to take things up a notch. Within 72 hours of dazzling Beatrice in the free-from aisle at the local supermarket, Anna was preparing to meet Aaron's parents for dinner. "Am I what they had in mind?" she asked as Aaron locked the car. Yeah," he chirped. "You're certainly what they hoped for." Anna detected a cryptic undercurrent, but before she could seek further clarification, the front door opened to reveal Joan. "Welcome," Joan breezed. "Hello, Anna," she said, moving them inside and kissing her son. The bungalow provided immediate respite from the chilly evening, and Anna was delighted. She handed Joan the bouquet of lilies, white roses, and snapdragons she collected earlier in the day. Beatrice had drilled Anna and her sister in social etiquette that forbade visiting somebody at home without presenting an offering. How fortunate, then, that in the brief window between Aaron telling Anna about the proposed dinner and them hanging up their coats ready to eat, she remembered he had once referred to Joan as quite the horticulturalist. It was also rather convenient that Anna's afternoon meeting had been cancelled, so she was able to surreptitiously compare online flower retailers as a break from preparing to welcome 2 new residents. "They are beautiful," Joan said, touching Anna's arm in appreciation. "And here's Dad," Aaron declared with audible pride, as a slightly flustered Joe entered the hall. "Hi, son. Hello, Anna. Sorry I was not here upon your arrival. A brief panic with the peppers. Gordon Ramsay's got nothing on you, Dad, eh?" "Well, if swearing while preparing is anything to go by, both chefs have a lot in common," Joan smiled. "Yes, I fully admit I was a little vocal this afternoon," Joe stated. "But I just wanted everything to be right. We don't eat much vegetarian cuisine." Anna knew the changes made to the menu were for her benefit, and she was touched by Joe's diligence. The praise she later gave for the broccoli and Stilton soup, stuffed peppers and sticky toffee pudding came effortlessly. Although sight of a few folded down pages in an almost new cookbook suggested that guidance had been sought, the food was delicious. Anna was captivated by Joan and Joe. Aaron was definitely their son. Anna saw from where he had learned the art of honing a story, and being able to populate a room with characters through variations in voice. The empathy that forever danced in Aaron's eyes was the unacknowledged extra guest at the table. As Anna watched Aaron wince in mock annoyance in response to another childhood memory being presented for humorous dissection, her love for him became entirely sensation-based. She had felt it long before now, but this was the first time Anna experienced it as a tangible affirmation within her body. The L word had, actually, been first uttered by Aaron. After a particularly energetic round of lovemaking, Aaron had whispered, "I love you," in the post-orgasmic silence. "And are you?" replied Anna. "Very much, my darling." "Did I pass?" Anna asked in the car on the way back to Aaron's apartment. "Not that I'm fishing or anything," she laughed. "Oh, I think you did," Aaron smiled. "I was talking to Mum in the kitchen for what seemed like ages, and you can only talk about the weather, my job, their health for so long. You cropped up more than a few times. Have your mum and dad not always approved of your previous partners? When you mentioned that I was what they hoped for, I imagine you bringing all sorts to their door in the past." "Not exactly," Aaron provided. "They liked Paul very much." Anna stopped scrolling on her phone and looked up. Had she heard right? "Paul." "Paul," Anna said again. "Paul as in a male?" Aaron shifted in his seat. "Yes. Is that an issue?" No, I... Anna trailed off. She was glad the proximity to Aaron's home made the silence not seem too awkward. Upon entering his apartment, Anna found Aaron waiting for the kettle to boil. "You read my mind," she said. Was Anna imagining it, or was Oscar acting more reserved this evening? The usual enthusiasm was there initially, but then he seemed to retreat in recognition the adults needed to talk. Oscar, Anna realized, would have known Paul. Accepting a welcome cup of tea, Anna broke the silence. "So, that makes you bisexual then?" The question hung in the air. "Yes," Aaron said. "How very 1990s. "I was thinking early 2000s, actually," Anna quipped. "Why didn't you tell me?" "It didn't seem that important, to be honest. What difference does it make? I've had relationships with men. It's no big deal. I'm with you now and want to be with you. I'm not hiding anything." "Am I your first dip in the lady pond? Did you suddenly fancy a change of scene?" "Lord, no," Aaron said. "I've been attracted to both men and women. My sexual history is not exactly lurid. It has, excuse the pun, been rather straightforward. Before Paul, I hadn't been with a guy since my early 20s. He must have been one hell of a man," Anna murmured before sipping gently. "He was. I mean, he is." "You're still in touch?" "Yes, he lives in France, and we have regular contact." "Oh." "Not that kind of contact," Aaron clarified. "He's married to a man, and they're very happy together. I introduced them." "Huh?" "Louis and I were working on a project together, and Paul met him then. What I didn't notice was that the longer the project took to launch, the more excuses Paul seemed to find to work from home." "What was the project?" Anna asked. "A dating website," Aaron delivered flatly. Anna looked at him and then convulsed with laughter. "Really?" "Yeah," Aaron said, joining in. "Weren't you more than a little miffed that happened?" "At the time, it was painful for sure, but the chemistry between them was powerful from the get-go. After a while, I felt in the way, like I was preventing their happiness." "Very magnanimous," Anna said. "Just the decent thing to do," Aaron shrugged. "Paul and I had already started to drift apart. Having spent so much time together at college, and grown as a couple, I wonder how much longer we could have lasted, to be honest. Our life was pretty wild, and we were still finding ourselves through each other in a sense." "I see," Anna added. "Does Paul have a foot in both camps as well?" Aaron smiled. No, he has always identified as gay. He still sometimes mentions his shock when I kissed him for the first time. It just happened one day, and I realized it was something that I'd wanted to do for so long. It was serious then? Anna asked. Oh yeah, I was definitely in love with Paul, Aaron said. And at one stage, thought it would be forever. My parents liked him and were amazingly supportive, actually. After we parted, Mum let slip that she had always assumed I would make my life with a woman, and there was some sadness there. But I think a lot of it was generational. Anna hated herself for what she said next, as soon as the words fell from her mouth. But she needed to know. Am I your attempt to please your parents? Of course not, Aaron said with a force Anna had not heard before. I'm in love with you, he continued. I wouldn't have gone through all this to suppress anything and not be honest. All this? These past months, everything. I wouldn't simply go through the motions if it wasn't what I really wanted. I couldn't do that to you. To us. So you don't feel like there's anything missing? Like a penis or something? I'm just asking for a friend. I most definitely do not. And that's not in any way to diminish my time as a same-sex lover because I thoroughly enjoyed myself. But right now, I want to be with you. Right now? Do you have an expiration date in mind? Anna said. No, I'm sorry. That sounded careless. What I mean is, none of us can predict what will happen in the future. Well, I cannot see myself running off with a woman any time soon, Anna responded with more than a hint of sarcasm. Neither can I, Aaron said. Or a man, for that matter. How about a person who is non-binary or gender fluid? Aaron laughed, and Anna followed. There is an element of choice in loving a partner, and I want to build a future with you. You make me so happy. But, Anna interjected, listen, Paul's apparatus didn't make me love him. It was his soul that made me want to love all of him. Having a sexual relationship just felt so natural, and for a time it was wonderful. Have you never... Aaron stopped. Have I never what? Experimented. Out of curiosity, if nothing else. Apart from the odd kiss here and there, Anna replied. Not really. I'm so provincial. In addition to seeing herself as rather square, Anna felt a mixture of disorientation and arousal. She had sneered when Tony once speculated he thought most heterosexual men fantasized about being part of a lesbian scenario. But now, Anna found herself wondering whether women derived the same thrill when two men were busy between the sheets. The reframing of lesbian desire through a heterosexist lens always made Anna cringe. The implicit assumption being that once the potency of the male intruder had reminded the females of what they were supposedly missing, all alternatives would be renounced. How offensive, Anna thought. Anna did not wish to have been a participant in the sex between Aaron and Paul. But she was curious. She experienced Aaron as an incredible lover. Had his performance been so universally venerated across the board? Did Aaron kiss Paul with the passion she now looked forward to? Look, Aaron said, if this is too much, then maybe we should... What? Wait a minute. No, Anna retorted. I'll admit I'm a bit surprised, but I don't want to end things. Besides, Anna smiled, I'm not prepared to leave Oscar at this point. Moving the focus to the third member of their relationship seemed to puncture the tense atmosphere, and the topic of conversation was paused. The subject was, in fact, never explicitly spoken about again. Yet Anna thought about it, often. Images of Aaron, and the chisel-jawed Paul, she had asked to see pictures of him, rose from her morning coffee and sometimes had to be shaken away as she reordered where they slept. Anna completely believed Aaron's declaration of love, and there had not been a discernible shift in his level of attentiveness. No extra gifts pointedly materialized. No heavy-handed orchestrations were noted to signal Aaron was currently a passenger on the heterosexual express. In other words, life carried on in an exalted groove, where Anna came to regard what she termed the discovery as just another facet of flawless rendering of coupledom. Having conquered, or at least been able to manage her dislike of dogs, what was another bump in the road? Compared with Max's father and her previous lovers, for whom there never had been any confusion in respect of their sexual preference, Aaron was so agile, and Anna revelled in the difference. She was also flattered that Aaron thought she was worth investing in. Anna didn't consider herself to have particularly low self-esteem, but was not immune to periods of unrest that typically triggered her vulnerability. She had always viewed relationships to be an opportunity to achieve a union of sorts, rather than merely merging. It was, then, when Aaron had talked about making a choice and loving as a conscious act, that Anna knew he was a keeper. "How fantastic!" Shelley squealed, when Anna mentioned Aaron's past dabbling under the rainbow. "I wish John would be as candid and confess any heterosexual deviating exploits. He was commended by Ashley for being woke this morning and was visibly proud. But then he won't even entertain the idea that RuPaul's Drag Race may not be as progressive as he thinks it is." "Aaron loathes that," Anna jumped in. "Misogynistic." "Oh," Shelley whimpered dramatically. "He's perfect, Anna. I'm guessing John would not be able to spell it." Whilst highlighting another of Aaron's merit made Anna feel slightly self-righteous, she should have, perhaps, intuited this was the last taste of the ecstasy before an all-too-familiar fall. Without warning, everything changed, and the tender hand that had joined Anna and Aaron together delivered an excoriating twist. Of all the places Anna had imagined seeing Aaron's parents again, the emergency department of the hospital had not been one of the locations she had in mind. Yet, here they were, a trio in grief, numb to the explanation being provided by the weary-looking trauma nurse. Anna heard the words, "everything we could," but then the sound of the setting seemed to evacuate as she stared, bereft, at Joan and Joe. There had been a car accident. Aaron had swerved to miss something and collided with a tree. Medics had been encouraged by his clear pulse that was maintained throughout the ambulance's journey. But then, internal hemorrhaging took hold. Anna hadn't witnessed any of this. She had been waiting to meet Aaron for lunch. When his name appeared on her caller ID, her amused, "Are you running late?" was received by the hesitant-sounding PC Barnes. Anna saw Aaron exactly as she had left him that morning, resting, with eyes closed, and covered in a sheet up to his shoulders. Tears roamed her face as she kissed his forehead. "Oh, my love," she cried, before running out into the nearby toilet. The first stall in a row was free. It almost seemed to have been expecting her, and Anna hastily closed the door. As a roar of pain was unleashed, Anna slid down a side panel, crushed. Anna did not know for how long she had been weeping. when she heard a gentle knock. "Anna, it's PC Barnes. Rachel. Aaron's parents are asking for you." Anna released the lock and slowly stepped out into the garish light. She allowed herself to be comforted by this kind woman who guided her back to Joan and Joe. Still groping for ground in the ravines of shock, they said nothing, just sought Anna's touch. "Aaron told us he was planning to ask you to marry him," Joan said, managing a faint smile. After a period of silence, she followed up with a suddenly more formal question. "What about Oscar?" The inquiry was, both at once, jarringly incongruous and instantly grounding in its practical nature. "I'll take him," Anna said with an assurance that surprised herself. There was now no way she was letting Oscar go, and she suddenly longed to see him. "I'll go and see him from here. He can come back to mine." Joe mouthed, "Thank you," as Joan buried her face in his shoulder. With a plan of action decided, the assembled gathering started to fragment. 2 policemen would drive Aaron's parents home, while Anna would be accompanied by Rachel to collect Oscar. "Speak later, Anna," Joan shouted, as she and her husband made their way to the main exit. Anna raised her hand, knowing she would do this. In the coming days, funeral arrangements would need to be discussed. Aaron's flat would need to be cleared, so there was no possibility of a loss in contact. Furthermore, Anna did not want that to happen. As well as being a direct link to Aaron, Anna wanted to add this exceptional couple to her circle of treasured friends on account of their own brilliance. Anna was grateful that a relative stranger was with her as she entered Aaron's apartment. Had a friend been there, she would have been engulfed by an onslaught of stunned emotions that would have distracted from the purpose of the visit. Oscar seemed to sense all was not well when Anna's face met his. Anna moved to the sofa, and he followed. She took time to admire his face, his glorious coat, and caressed him for a few minutes. "It's just you and me now, Oscar," Anna blurted through a stream of tears. "Daddy's gone. How would you like to come and live with me and Max?" Anna saw her immediate future starkly unfolding. Max was welcoming Oscar into the family and promising to love him forever. Yet, the man who had brought such love into Anna's life, and who would forever be a stranger to Max, except through Oscar, was not here. The pain of this cruel irony would, perhaps, not always be as acute as it was now. But Anna knew that as her companion in grief, Oscar's presence was vital to making it tolerable. When Anna allowed herself to think about the mammoth task ahead, of trying to make sense of almost the last year of her life, she reasoned, therefore, that providing food, water, shelter, and unconditional love to a similarly wounded animal was the very least she could do. Thank you for listening. Text copyright 2022 by Candy Kane.